Shalom Uvracha. I'm Rabbi Joseph Beta from Congregation B'nai Yitzchak. This week's parasha opens with an astounding pasuk. Vayehi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim sheva esrei shana. Yaakov lived in the land of Egypt for 17 years. It's such a powerful pasuk whose power gets lost in the subtlety. All it says is Yaakov lived for 17 years in Egypt. Big deal. But it's a huge deal. You see, in the weeks before this, everything we know about Yaakov Avinu tells us Yaakov should not have lived 17 years in Egypt. We know that he's walking around limping his whole life, which means that his body is physically damaged. We know he went through the trauma of losing and mourning a son and then worrying about losing others. We know that Yosef and the brothers are all concerned, hey, Yaakov is so fragile, he might die. We know that when Yaakov first meets Paro, he looks so old that Paro says, how old are you? And when he answers the question, he says, I'm 130 and my life has been miserable. He's going down to Egypt just to see Yosef before he's going to die. Even Hashem says, when Yaakov is going down to Egypt, Yaakov, Yosef, he's going to take care of you. You're going to die. So Yaakov is a symbol. He's facing death, and death is going to be in his life right away. But something amazing happens. His family is reunited. Binyamin doesn't get lost. He sees Yosef. Even Shimon is returned. And they establish something down in Egypt. And in that happening, Yosef, who meets his grandchildren, Ephraim and Menashe, who he adopts as his own children, has a revival. And he lives 17 years. Not coincidentally, the same number of years that Yaakov lived with Yosef when Yosef lived in his house in Eretz Canaan. So the Torah is teaching us a very, very powerful lesson. The lesson of the power of life. It could look like it's about to be extinguished, but like a burning ember, it can flower, blossom into a powerful, wonderful experience of life. In this past year, we've been really heavily focused through COVID on death. And death is very powerful, and death is final and can't be escaped. We might have been tempted to lose sight of the power of life as well. And this week's parasha tells us, don't underestimate life. Life is incredibly powerful. And even when it looks like the situation is dire, life can come back to life. May the next year, the year of 2021, be a year full of life. Shabbat Shalom.